Hey Fight fans, it's Michelle Joy Phelps and I am joined with none other than Eddie Hearn. Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well. I'm very excited about this fight. Different kind of feel to this fight. More sort of honoured to be doing this. You know, like as a fight fan, the undisputed fight, the Ring Magazine belt. This is the first time I've really promoted a fight like this. I was involved obviously with Crawford and Dongo, but not really as the main promoter, and just sort of a bit overawed by the fight and the occasion. I'm so pleased for Tony. I'm so excited to see what happens in the ring, because I don't know, and yeah, I can't wait. It's the biggest fight I've ever promoted, the best fight I've ever promoted, and it's the first time in British boxing history that an undisputed fight takes place in this country.
I'm pretty sure also there's a lot of emotions running there because you have been promoting him for so long and this is his last fight. Like, what's going through your mind at this moment?
I don't know. I mean, I'm very proud of him because I remember, you know, going back to, you know, even before we started promoting him, we've been promoting him for 6 years now. And you know, before that, he was up and down in his career, and then we got him to a mandatory position against Adonis Stevenson. We went to Canada, he lost by stoppage, and how he even used to make light heavyweight, I never know. Rebuilt him at cruiserweight, you know, giving him some good paydays, but nothing really overly significant. And then, you know, he wins the world title at Everton, which was just sensational, a moment I'll never forget. And then he carves out the David Haye fight, you know, financially secured himself for life in the first one, financially secured his kids for life in the second one. And on Saturday night, the money is irrelevant. It's just about chasing greatness. It's about trying to be as good as you can be and trying to see how good you are. And that's the inspiration for Tony in this fight is, can I do it? Can I do it? And he believes he can do it. He's got a monstrous fight against a brilliant genius in Alexander Usyk. But you never count Bellew out. He can punch. He's got the heart of a lion. He's technically much better than people think. And yeah, Saturday is just a couple of days away.
And if you had to break it down to a percentage of how confident you feel that he can win, how confident are you? Because I know that Tony tends to do what most think he can't do, and he does it.
Honestly see this as a 50-50 fight. The bookies don't. And I understand on paper how Usyk's a big favourite, but just knowing Tony, and there's a lot of unanswered questions still about Usyk. You know, he's never really been in the trenches. You know, he's never really been hit really hard to the body. He's never really, I don't think, been hit, caught flush with the power of Tony Bellew. Maybe he's just unbeatable, and then Tony can't win, and then it's 100% zero. But I just see this as a 50-50 fight, based mainly on experience, on atmosphere, on occasions, on the moment, all these things. Maybe I'm clutching at straws, but honestly I see this as a much closer fight than the bookmakers do and on paper. But Usyk is a genius. You know, he's a freak of nature.
Do you know what he was doing when you guys were up there? You saw him.
He was writing numbers down. Yes. He wrote about 100 numbers down, and then he put the date at the bottom and signed it. I don't know what that was about. Do you?
No, he told me a bit about it. It's just like it's something that they do in camp. I don't know, but Vasily does it as well. I've seen him do it once before, and I'm like, what are they doing? Scary.
I mean, I was looking at it, trying to sort of see if there was any trend. It was a game, but they were just like random numbers. Yeah. And he's away with the fairies. That's the best. That's what we say in Britain. But he is a genius.
What does that mean? Like,
it means you're just crazy. You're out there. You know, your mind's so advanced. He's a genius. Yeah. And when you're a genius, you're not normal. You know, I don't see Usyk as a normal guy because he's a genius. You know, this happens in sport a lot. But geniuses can be flawed in other aspects. You know, socially, they're sometimes not as good as other people. Sometimes they have, you know, parts of their mind that don't work like others. George Best, you know, people like that. I mean, I'm just using weird examples, but when you're a genius, it's not always easy. You know, it's not like you just automatically do everything. Sometimes things go wrong. But he is a freak of nature in that he's not your normal athlete. And Tony's not a genius. Tony's a brilliant fighter who has loads of heart, who can punch very hard, who loves to find a way to win. It doesn't mean that you can't beat the genius, but Usyk is different, you know, and he's a nice guy. You know, I enjoy working with him, and Alex Krasuk from K2, they're top people. And, you know, it's going to be a war. It's going to be a war.
Eddie, 2018 is almost coming to an end, and I have to say that if you don't win 2018 Promoter of the Year, then I don't know what anyone is thinking.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at it the other day, people talking about it. I think that we've put on better shows in years gone by, like, or maybe bigger fights, but consistently, I think, you know, we're doing a great job. I mean, when you look at our major fights this year, you know, you had Bellew Haye, you had Joshua Povetkin, you had Joshua Parker, the unified fight. You had Usyk against Bellew, Jacobs against Derevenchenko. I mean, loads more. But there's still, I feel like everyone's trying very hard. PBC, Top Rank, us, and it's good for the sport in that we're all trying to outdo each other, and the only ones that are going to benefit are the fans. I just hope that the people behind pay-per-view in America try to rethink their structure and their price point. I can't sit here and say, oh, pay-per-view's terrible. I do 4 or 5 a year in Britain, but it's $25 or $28. I think that consistently, if Showtime are going to continue putting on pay-per-view fights, they need to reduce the price point. Otherwise, it's going to become non-accessible for fight fans. And I hope that the job that DAZN are doing to give you an affordable price point, particularly for Canelo fights and Joshua fights and hopefully Golovkin fights, is going to change the game. But everybody's working to try and outdo everyone. It's a very competitive market. But that means I'll put on better fights. That means Heyman will. That means Top Rank will. If it was just Heyman running the sport, he'd be putting on rubbish because there's no pressure. But everyone's under pressure to deliver.
What would be the 3 fights you want to make for 2019? The 3 mega fights?
Joshua Wilder, Brook-Khan, and probably throw a Lomachenko in there as well. Maybe against Crawler or against Campbell in a unification or something like that. There's a lot of our new stars coming through. Also another fight that I want to make is Bivol against Beterbiev. I want to make Jacobs against Canelo.
Well, Bivol actually said that he doesn't mind going down to super middleweight to fight Callum Smith.
So if you look at my fights for 2019, I always do this and none of them get made and then everyone says I'm a wanker. But Joshua against Wilder, Brook against Khan, Callum Smith against Golovkin, Jacobs against Canelo, Beterbiev against Bivol. I'd like to make Mikey Garcia against Lomachenko, but obviously I have neither of those guys. Usyk against Dillian White, if he was, well, he's going to move up to heavyweight anyway. Dillian White against Joshua is another fight I'd like to make as well. Tevin Farmer against Gervonta Davis. Danny Roman against Ray Vargas.
Eddie Hearn's wish list here.
Loads of them. Cao Yafai against Chocolatito. Chocolatito, if you're watching, why not fight Cao Yafai? Why don't you want to fight him? I don't understand. Giving you a shot at a world title, loads of money.
Is he just turning it down or something?
Yeah, they don't seem to want that fight. I think it'd be a good fight to make, but I love Chocolatito. I like Rung Sivai against Yafai. Like I said, Campbell against Lomachenko, Crawler against Lomachenko, Josh Kelly against a top welterweight name as well. Loads. I could sit here all day.
I know we have a line of people who want to interview, so I'm going to make this quick, but I definitely want to ask you about the whole situation going on right now, like the online trolling between Kell Brook and Amir Khan. I mean, how likely is it set to happen? I know I keep asking this question, but I feel like we have to constantly push the issue if we're going to want to see this fight, and I really want to see this fight. But what's the likelihood that we have it for spring of next year?
I think there's a good chance. I mean, we're certainly closer than we've ever been, but we're not.
It seems like the demands keep coming in. They keep changing. They keep changing, and it's like, what else?
Amir wants a hydration clause. Kell doesn't really want to give that, so we have to see what happens with that. There's going to be some things that Kell's going to have to accept that he doesn't want to make this fight. That's the reality.
But how much more, though?
But that's up to him. I said to him, it's not a case of loyalty between me and Kell or me and Amir. It's just, these are his demands. Which ones will you do? Okay, Amir, he'll do these, but he won't do it. It's up to the fighters. I'm going to put the deal onto the plate for both guys.
When you made the deal with Amir Khan initially, was that not part of the agreement that you had to fight Kell Brook at some point? No.
No, just that we provide a pay-per-view fight.
Okay.
And obviously the biggest one out there is Kell Brook. That is the biggest fight out there for both guys by a mile.
Well, you met with Manny Pacquiao just the other day, so what's...
More social. No, I know Manny's team well. He's fighting Broner, then he's fighting Mayweather, or so he thinks. So that was more just, they're not looking to fight Khan. So that tells you all that you should be told. The fight is Brook against Khan.
Well, I hope it gets made. I know I'm getting a bit frustrated. Yes. I'm going to keep talking about it until it does get made. Yeah.
Keep banging the drum.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much, Eddie, for your time once again. Stop. All right, thank you so much. Bye, fight fans. Hey Fight fans, it's Michelle Joy Phelps. If you haven't already subscribed to my YouTube channel, make sure you go ahead and do so by clicking this icon right here and hit the bell button so you can get notified every time we upload a new video. And we also have a free app available on iTunes and Google Play, so make sure you go and download that. Bye Fight fans.